Hey, so you're wondering which are the characteristics of an effective public speaker? Well, have you ever noticed that there are speakers that you're just like, oh, I love that guy, or she's the best, and other speakers you're like, no thanks, I don't want anything to do with this one. Well, we're going to talk about some of those characteristics and how you can adopt them. I've got some cool tips for you. I'm a Hall of Fame speaker. I've been doing this a long time, and I appreciate you joining me here. I'm so excited for us to do this. Let's talk first, though, about the importance between professional success and public speaking. What's really interesting is the most successful people I've ever seen are really good at speaking. They're great communicators. For some reason, there is a connection there, and we're going to talk about some of those characteristics that you probably already have, and some that maybe you can start cultivating today. We're going to talk about 10 cool topics and keys that you can take away for yourself as to how to do this in your speaking and how to be the best that you possibly can be on stage. Number one is to have confidence and presence. When it comes to confidence and presence, think about your body. Think about the way that you show up. I always love to reference some of the great speakers that are very popular and famous because they just do this so well. They carry themselves differently than most people. I'm talking about my friend Mel Robbins. She just exudes confidence and presence. I'm talking about Tony Robbins, and those two are not related, but they are two of the most famous speakers in the world. Tony Robbins shows up, he's all ready to go. You can tell he's been awake for 7 hours. It's already 9 in the morning. That's just how he looks, right? There's David Goggins, if you're familiar with him. He's just such a stud. He shows up, you know he's got it all together. Just a certain confidence and a poise that they bring about them. And so think about how you show up with your body, with your look, with your clothing, with the way that you're put together. I've seen a trend in speaking that I'm very concerned about, and it's people showing up looking like a slob. Don't do it. Show up looking like you care. And it's important because the audience can tell. What I'd recommend you do in terms of figuring out your confidence and your presence, I would recommend that you practice posing, that you practice your body in the mirror or with a camera. Even film yourself just talking and see what you do too much of. I know as a speaker myself, I lean my head back a lot and I stick my belly out. And so I've been trying to figure out how do I make it so that I look more confident. I keep my head and straight and looking at the camera or looking at the audience and making my body, more and more powerful. That means I'm working out, I'm eating right. It adds so much when we're confident and we show up with presence. Number two, let's talk about authenticity. The best speakers are always the most authentic. They're vulnerable. They share things that you're like, whoa, I don't know if I'd talk about that, but because they're powerful. If you're familiar with Brene Brown, she's one of my favorites when I talk about authenticity because she stands up there and she talks about shame and embarrassing things, but she's funny and she makes you cry because she's so good at it. I want you to think about your own authenticity, how you show up, how you share, or are you just putting on pretenses so that nobody sees who you really are? One of the best ways to come up with your authenticity is to discover your signature moves. And a lot of people wonder, I don't know what my signature moves are, but think about your favorite speakers. They have signature moves that make them unique. I was just talking about David Goggins. He's the runner. Yeah. He's the Navy SEAL that's turned into this huge phenomenon as motivational speaker that he's become. What's his signature move? He doesn't give up. He never stops. He's going to motivate everybody that listens to him. So what are your signature moves? That's your authenticity showing up in front of an audience. How do you discover it? Well, you need to go through my ICM process. And so I'd love it if you'd grab, at the end of this video, I want you to grab icmprocess.com. Go to that website. I'm going to take you through a little instructional as to what you need to do, but ICM stands for Identify, Clarify, Magnify. When you identify your gifts and the things that make you authentically you, then you can clarify with others what they think your authenticity and your gifts are. Then you can magnify it to the world. I'm telling you, it will change your life and your ability on stage as a presenter. The third one is let's talk about clarity and structure. When it comes to your message and your speaking, you want to be very clear about what you're communicating. You want to then have a nice structure to make it so it's a nice flow throughout the entire presentation. One of the best there is that I've ever seen at doing this is a guy named Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs created Apple and the Mac computer and the iPhone probably in your pocket, or the thing that you're watching right now with this video. Steve Jobs was meticulous in his preparation of putting together a presentation presentation that was clear in the messaging, and it was exactly precise to where he wanted us to go. And so he took you on a journey when he presented his new products, his inventions, and his ideas. That's one of the reasons why Apple has been so successful and one of the most successful companies in history, because storytelling through a leader that was able to communicate it well, stood on a stage, knew where he was going with clarity, and he brought us along on this path. Think about how you can do that with your message and how important it is for you. Number 4, engaging delivery. Think about the best speakers you've ever heard. They change their tone. They change the pacing and the speed. They use their body. They have energy. I'm thinking of Martin Luther King Jr. In his I Have a Dream speech, we could not stop feeling that that was part of our dream as well. And that's the power of a great speaker who uses these techniques for themselves. An engaging delivery is very difficult to get to, but with practice, anyone can. I would say turn on your camera, record yourself, find out if you have the kind of booming voice that would command a room. And if you don't, just like me, I don't have a commanding voice, but I have a voice that cares about you, that's engaging. Think about your tone, think about your pacing, look at your body language, but start to figure out how you can have engaging delivery, and then perhaps you'll be the next Martin Luther King. Number 5 is your connection with the audience. A lot of this comes from the preparation that you do prior, knowing who your audience is, knowing the demographics, maybe their background. It's so helpful when you do this. One of the most amazing examples of this that I've ever seen, connecting with an audience, even when she probably is outside of the demographic of the audience, is Michelle Obama. Yeah, the First Lady of the United States for many years. Here is a woman that's so highly educated. She's in a power position. She's in this place of being so successful, probably quite unrelatable. Nope, she is so authentic. She's so reaffirming. She was able to connect with so many demographics because she was able to understand what her audience needed. Now, she practiced this. She listened to people. She was working on this all the time. And I admire Michelle Obama for that great skill. That's her signature move. So consider doing this for yourself. Research the audience prior. Maybe sit and watch as they come in so that you can feel out the demographics of the audience. But having that audience connection is so important. Number 6 is passion and energy. You know, when you're passionate about something, you're going to speak with more energy. You're going to make people feel like, oh, I know that she's got so much passion for this topic. I want to have that for what I'm speaking about as well. I think about one of the greatest speeches I've ever seen, and it came from Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, he won an Oscar and he's holding it up and he goes, all right, all right, all right. You know, but he did something that was so powerful. He motivated us by sharing some of his passions while he was accepting that award. He made you feel like you could do anything too. That's what a great speaker does. They have passion and energy and they make you go, whoa, he just received that great award, but maybe I could do something great as well. Look up the Matthew McConaughey speech from when he won his Oscar. You'll be blown away. Number 7 is adaptability. I want you to look up a couple of different comedians and be warned, they're probably not safe for work, but here's why I want you to look them up. Because of their adaptability capability. It's unbelievable watching comedians that are good at this. You know, things can happen when you're on stage as a speaker or as a performer that you're not expecting. Something might happen, something crazy or something different than you were expecting. Maybe you were supposed to do an hour and they need you to do 20 minutes, or you're supposed to do 20 minutes and they need you to do 2 hours. Okay, how are you adaptable? Look up Dave Chappelle and look up Mark Normand. These guys can take suggestions or heckles from an audience and turn it into an entire bit. It's unbelievable. That's because they're adaptable, but it's because they're actively listening to what's happening and they're so smart and they're so fast that they can adapt and say something that makes it incredibly funny what they're saying back to the audience. So I think about the ways to practice this would be to simply record yourself receiving a question. Maybe you're a podcast guest and you're able to then respond in a really capable way. Adaptability is such an important part of becoming a great speaker. Number 8 is storytelling skills. Yeah, being a great storyteller is a big deal. And some of the greatest speakers of all time are the best storytellers. Abraham Lincoln was known for this. He was our president of the United States many, many years ago, but he was known for his storytelling, and so people loved listening to him talk. So I want you to think about how you can integrate anecdotes, stories from your life, things that have happened to you, stories that you've heard, and make it about the audience so that they can say, oh wow, that story changed the way that I look at my life. Number 9 is authentic connection with the material. Now, when you think about effective speakers, these people have a connection with that material. It's so interesting. I was watching Simon Sinek. He's the author of Start With Why. Everybody now talks about and references, you got to start with why. You have to start with your why. That came from Simon Sinek. I hope you look him up because he's got some amazing material that you could really use in your speech in terms of passion for it, energy for it, understanding your topic. But having an authentic connection with the material, that's something because you've been through it, you know how to present it well. And so you have an expertise in something particular that nobody else does. As you start to add your authenticity into that material, the next thing you know, people referencing you. Number 10 is continuous improvement. I would recommend highly that you consider getting a coach. Look for opportunities to mastermind. Find somebody that you can trust that can help you get better. Continuous improvement is where it's at. We've talked about 10 powerful places and ways for you to become an effective public speaker. And the most successful people I know do all of these 10 things. Continuous improvement, and here you are watching this YouTube video. I'm proud of you for doing it. I've created a whole channel about how you can improve as a speaker, how you can improve your life, and I hope that if you haven't subscribed that you will today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'm excited to see you as the effective public speaker.